I think for universal healthcare, things that we pay for, right? It should be things that are like unavoidable, like surgeries that are necessary for human life or extension of human life.
Sure.
So you can make the argument that it'll prevent suicides. So
great, welcome to our side.
You're saying in that case, it should be classified as something that's major.
Just general well-being. I think. Would you agree that somebody could have anxiety to the point that it doesn't make it like crippling, but that makes their life shitty, and that we should probably provide for them in medicine if the medical authorities agree is necessary?
Well, can I ask you? But you
I want to ask
you.
No, I want to answer it.
Yeah, that's fine.
The question one more time.
Yeah. So you're saying that it has to be like whether a necessary function, right? Would you agree that somebody who has, or what do you think about somebody who has anxiety? It's bad. It affects their life. It affects their well-being. Doctors agree they have anxiety, and they prescribe some sort of medication. It's not. Well, would you agree that they should be covered?
Yeah, I think psychiatry, psychologists should be covered by healthcare.
Okay, sure. So if the thing that the doctor, psychologist, whatever prescribes is for the person to go into a hormone regimen, would you agree that the government should provide this?
Yeah. So like I said, per clinic, it should be for medical professional. Someone shouldn't just be able to walk into a hospital and say, "Hey, do X, Y, Z to me," and have the taxpayers pay for it.
Don't disagree. But most medical professionals would agree that transgender people should get this care.
All right. So this should have a
transgender side.
Yep. Doctor's recommendation, let's say.
Sure.
Yep.
Chill.
Take that.
Cool. Chill. So what we talk about now?
Well, I guess you want to say on transgender or talk about something else?
Oh, trans. Yeah. Trans.
Oh boy, do I?
Trans stuff. Yeah. If you want.
Okay. So I was thinking about like the gender and like sex and how that relates to each other, and like self-identification and like trying like put all these things together. Like where would our world be in like 10, 20 years if we went down the path of gender and sex are separate and then people can transition, or if we just stay with man and woman and just got rid of the social stereotypes. So you wouldn't need to transition. You would still be a man, but you could just dress and go through society whichever way you wanted without the stigma. Are those like two different worlds? Or are they the same?
To me, can I go, or do you want? I don't know who you are, cowboy hat guy.
You can say anyone.
So personally, I'm kind of a gender abolitionist. I look forward to a day where nobody is identifying as any particular gender, and you don't necessarily have to be a particular gender to reproduce with people. I think we're getting to the point with artificial insemination and wombless pregnancies that, ideally maybe two gay men could have a biologically their own child one day. And I think that would be fantastic. Again, like transitioning in part of it, this becomes almost a cosmetic or a, reaffirmation type of a thing in that sort of a situation. So fantasy world, that's where I want to go.
Me too.
Well, I mean, if you got rid of gender, it seems like the world would still come back to biological. Like, if there's no gender, then the only thing left would be biological sex. It seems like we'd be in a different place, but then kind of back at square one at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave. I just want to say one of the reasons why I was so like hard on trying to going through that little going through that little questionnaire with you, Naz, is that like the response to seeing a change in like scientific consensus by going, well, hold on, this is a really new change. Maybe we shouldn't believe it. I gotta say, that's a dumb fuck alert. That's a dumb fuck alert in my brain, because that's literally just an appeal to tradition. We find new shit out all the time. There's a quote that I really like that talks about the idea about
sense. It makes sense to ask.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it does make sense to ask the
like
question.
apply to any other scientific topic
Makes
that
perfect
changes
sense to
the world.
question science. In fact, I think that's how science works, Kobe. I think science actually works by questioning itself.
Okay, wait, let me speak.
Yes, it does.
Let me speak. The recency of the experiment or the study has nothing to do. It's the actual quality of the study. If we have a brand new study that completely throws everything we know about a certain field out of the water, and we can demonstrate it better than what we can demonstrate we know before, that's called something called the scientific method. Okay.
The older and more affirmed a theory, the more people understand it and respect it and like can rely on it. New things that are produced are perfectly open to question.
Older and affirmed theories. There is not
like there's fucking gravity.
Stop. No, there's not this
we're not arguing with that. I don't think.
Let Kobe go. Kobe,
there's not this wealth of science that traditional gender roles make it okay for make trans people's lives good. That if they just lived the lives of a woman or a man, that their life would be better. There's not this massive wealth of evidence. When we look into it, when we look into transgender people, their well-being and suicide rates and reported well-being and rates of other kinds of mental illness, we see that social acceptance, surgery, and hormone transition and social transition is extremely beneficial. The evidence is on that side. There is not this wealth of stress. There's tradition. Traditionally, we've done things, but we do all kinds of things without tradition.
So, like, for example, Pluto kind of dropped off the being a planet list, right? Now, that happened because there was a certain viewpoint that changed, or a certain viewpoint or discovery that changed our opinion on the planet. So, like, I don't think it's invalid to be like
that's a terrible example. That's a terrible example.
That's like such a stupid example.
No, it's actually a terrible example because a lot of people didn't think it should have been a planet to begin with.
There are astronomical societies that still say it.
I was gonna say if you wanted me to explain to you why it's not a planet, I think you'd probably just give me some like bullshit reasoning or something. So I mean,
this is the category of like an interstellar object is completely different than the way that we're going to look at the treatment for an individual's or treatment for individual mental health and social well-being. They're completely different.
Question or a point to make? There's psychological theory though. That's scientific theory to a degree.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Psychological theories, like I don't know if the right like Freud and Jung and other fancy.
So you're naming these people that have certain theories that are established in psychology now, right?
Yeah, like older people. Like they might be discredited now, but they
trans category of that.
I wasn't addressing like that. I was just trying to say to their point that you can't ask questions, or you shouldn't be asked. You might doubt. It seemed to me like they didn't have a lot of faith in where you were coming from.
Yeah, because I mean, like the context around the argument, right?
Yeah. I don't.
Like, I have a question. Like, let's say we're arguing about vaccines, and my argument is always like, well, how new is these damn vaccines?
Well, yeah, but you can still ask the question, can't you?
You can ask the question. Ask the question, but I think that like there's a reasonable level of like good faith that you should go into it with, right? And like I'm gonna go on a limb here.
But like, how did you know that he didn't have good faith?
You can infer things about people.
Hold on. I'm stoned. I forgot. Referred to. He said, "Why should we allow trans people to mutilate their genitals?" That's the obvious. I'm sorry, I forgot that. I'm such a dumb fuck. I'm going high as too. That's why. Because he's a fucking dumb fuck. Obvious that obviously thinks that the established medical guidance, the established medical guidance disagrees with this little traditional feelings.
I know. But if you're trying to make a point with somebody, you can't jump into like the harshest reaction first.
I made this argument earlier. I 100% agree. My strategy right now is not necessarily winning. Okay.
Oh, I'm still winning.
Fair enough.
Obviously, you can infer things about people and what they believe based off the kinds of questions they ask. If you're asking a question and then someone has a question about why you're asking that question, you just be like, "Oh, I'm just asking a question." For example,
but you could separate your emotions.
Okay. I actually are you a degenerate, brainless moron?
Exactly, right? Like
just asking a quick question.
Yeah, like it's a difference. No, actually, I actually agree. It's win code, right? Win code?
Yeah, win code or win, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I actually agree with your idea of like let's go back to your original idea of like vaccines. Actually, I was wrong to say that it's not reasonable to say vaccine science is new. It actually is reasonable. What's not reasonable is to be like, why should I put the mind control virus in my kid? If that's the starting point, if the way that you refer to the virus is like the toxic poison, I'm going to assume that if you're referring to the virus already as toxic poison, there's probably other premises you already have. If you go into the conversation about trans people referring to transgender surgery as mutilation, I'm going to assume it's kind of like morally loaded. But go for it.
Hold up. So, are you saying you can't, because it's difficult to convince people with extreme beliefs, you shouldn't try?
Oh no, I just don't want to.
It's a matter of faith in the argument, right? So when it'd be like if I start a conversation with you and I said, "Hey, I heard that you're starting a garden like a fucking idiot, so let me ask you how to grow tomatoes." Do you see how that comes off?
Yeah, I'd probably just tell you how to grow tomatoes, though.
Okay, well, you're a better person than everyone here, I'm sure. I assure you that. That's I don't know how else to explain it to you. That's just kind of
it's like what Kobe said earlier. We don't have to jump down a throat, but we can.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't expecting this level of vitriol.
To be true, the real thing that tipped me off is like the mutilation. I'm going to assume that if you believe that sex surgery is mutilation, you probably already believe like a lot of other deep premises about how trans people should be treated and how trans people are in society, and you probably believe that like it's like a trend. And like I'm actually not that sympathetic with that because I think that's actually like a really fucked up way.
But then you have like children who learn how to be bullies because of their parents.
That's true. That's very true. And listen, if any kid is watching this, do not follow my argumentative path. Okay. But I agree.
All right. I apologize for referring to it as mutilation. How should I refer to that procedure?
I think you should give it. I think we should call it the divine.
It's fine to call it that. It's fine to use those terms. I was just disagreeing with like.
No, it's not. I actually.
No, it's not. But it is. Some people think it is.
I agree. Well, but I'm not a moral relative. Some people. Yeah, I'm not a moral relative.
Wind back.
That's standard.
Wind back.
It's not that level of wrongness, but it is wrong.
No, but I mean, we can make the same argument. You know, if we're having a conversation about circumcision, it's widely accepted, it's widely practiced, but I would consider that mutilation.
Absolutely.
Does that mean like?
I'm going to assume that person who calls it mutilation believes in the premise that we shouldn't do it, and that it's wrong to do, and that's immoral to do, and many of them might even believe it's like torture on the baby. So that's a reasonable thing to assume from just the use of the word mutilate. I would actually
that person's bad faith. Not that I don't think that.
You just want to assume my position, or do you want me to give you my exact position, or do you not care?
What's your exact position on?
I think any adult should do whatever the hell they want to do, and I'll respect them for whatever lifestyle choice they make. Just don't.
I think it's good
with the kids. That's all. I draw the line with the kids.
Why?
Not a kid.
Yeah, I mean, adults can do it, but like, why do you think? Why do you think it's like, or do you think that if the adult making the decision is bad or good, or do you think it's just a neutral? It's their own choice.
It's neutral because it's someone else's mind. I don't know what anyone else's life experience is, so why should I be justified in judging them or treating them less than a human because they want to do whatever procedures they want to do to themselves to fix?
Do you think transgender people should be able to go into the bathroom they identify with in public?
I mean, obviously there's a 0.00001% that they could be malicious, but like if you're actually a transgender woman, then like going to the bathroom is like an event for you, so you like doing it. So it's just like you're not actually
yes
doing
or no
sports.
You're not. No, just yes or no on that one. Yes or no.
So like, I don't think a transgender woman has the intention.
What about a transgender man? Just a goth guy's argument. What about a transgender man?
Well, the majority are transgender women. Let's be honest here.
Okay, what about them? What about?
Can I get a citation for that? Just curious.
I'm talking about my best friend Kyle.
50-50, or is it like 60?
I don't know. I'm asking. Can I get a citation? You were asking for documents.
It's just Kyle. There's one trans man and Kyle. Can Kyle go to the bathroom? He wants to go. Like it's so stupid. Who gives a fuck? If there's that few, there's not a lot of trans people in general. That's not the point of the argument.
Sure, they can.
Good.
How about sports?
Good question.
Do you think that trans people should compete with the sport, the league of the sport that they identify with?
No. I do not believe that.
Okay, let's do a less contentious one. Do you think like has to call like if like a person wants to be called like he, she, whatever the other thing is? Do you think that they should have to go by the pronoun the person wants?
I think that it should be up to the individual interacting with that person to choose whether or not to respect their lifestyle choice. Me personally, I'll respect the choice, and I've known trans people in my life who have called their pronoun and had no issue with.
Would you view if there was if I'm a man, I identify as a man, do you think that like it'd be reasonable for me to say that if like a teacher referred to me as a girl and every single interaction I had that's kind of like harassing if I told them not to do it over and over again and they say, well, it's my personal choice to do it?
Teacher?
Yeah, like a teacher. Yeah, like, I mean, that's my question. It's a person of authority. I don't think you have to call. I don't think you have to talk to somebody on the side of the street. I'm talking about a person of a point of authority or a professional setting.
I mean, I think you can report them to a school. They can
but how should it be handled? Like in your mind, what should be the how should it be that should get handled?
I ran the school board and like made the rules.
Yes, I mean all of us here are just jerking off at the end of the day. Yes, obviously there are people that are more educated about this, but like do you think it'd be kind of fucked if you saw that in the news a teacher got in trouble because they were referring to a transgender student as boy when they want to be referred to as girl? Would you say that's kind of fucked up, or you think it's, hey, that, that's their choices, they do when they want to do whatever? And what's your choice?
It's definitely not an acceptable way to interact with the student. No.
There we go. Okay.
Fair enough. I think it's just like a lot of apprehension.
Just my biggest takeaway is that we obviously need more gender reaffirming surgery because we need to get Naz some balls so he can just come out and say what the fuck he believes in, and we can stop wasting all this goddamn time.
I told you what I believe in. I think any adult has the right to do what they want to do.
Yeah, we got there eventually.
We got
there. Yeah, he told you. So,
I think everybody should if somebody asked me yeah, Kobe, do you think that people should people should do black tar heroin? Everyone's an adult, they can do as they please. Well, no, we're talking about is this an action that we should take? Is this something that we should encourage in our society? Yes, we should.
Why do you think that black tar heroin's bad? I'm just asking questions.
I think it's. I would stake my claim on the premise that it is good to encourage trans people who want to transition and be socially accepting of that.
So the social acceptance of someone taking black tar heroin is comparable to the social acceptance of someone transitioning.
No, the point is that obviously we comment about whether or not something is socially acceptable. They'll just say, well, it's their mind. Who am I to truly judge another human being?
I'm talking about the way you answered. I would have come out in the affirmative and say it's bad, but I would say it's actually good when transgender, if you asked me, do you think we should affirm transgender people sort of socially? I'd say, yes, it's good. Somebody wants to call me, if somebody asks me to call them something, I encourage other people to do it.
If they're an educator employed by an institution that, requires them to treat students a certain way, it's unacceptable. But if they're just like a tutor or some shit, I think they have a right to be a dick, and then they can fire that person if they want to fire that person, or if they're not, if they're just teaching somebody something and they just refuse to refer to them as their pronoun, then that student can just walk away, right?
No, you can't.
It's their boss.
What? The student can walk away from a teacher?
Depending on the situation.
No, they can't. The situation is not, right? You are a middle schooler. You're a middle school, or in middle school, and your middle school teacher starts calling you by improper pronouns. You don't get to walk away, right? You don't get to just fuck off.
Here's what's in my mind and why I think I went there. Because if it's like a Catholic school, right? They're not going to respect that. They're not going to care. You can report to the teacher all you want to.
Bad.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? They're not publicly funded.
Yeah, they're not publicly funded.
There are just certain situations in society where the institution has a right to deny that.
So religious bigotry is the exception to the rule? Is that what we're saying?
But why? I don't know. That's another point altogether. That's a completely different point, right?
Yeah.
Second half to go. Thank you for the 1,000 bits. We're almost there to level 2. Helps out. Substitute.
Yay, 1,000 bits.
Yeah. So that's a separate point altogether, right? The Catholic thing. No, I want to focus on the one point. You're saying that you can a child can just walk away from a kid. Doesn't matter whether it's public or private, right? You can't just walk away. Like when you're in a position of authority, when you're at work or something, you can't just fucking fuck off because you don't like the way they're treating you. They're treating you badly, right? And especially as a child, right? Obviously, that's not a possibility, right?
We're talking about like a teacher bullying a student, essentially, right? That's essentially what we're talking about.
Well, do you think it's bullying? I mean, that's the question.
Well, that's what it is, right? Based on your guys' view of it.
Okay, so
well, we would view it. Do you view it though? Like if a teacher says, "Listen, dog, listen. I'm a Catholic. I don't think that you're a fucking girl. I think you're a guy. I'm not saying fuck, but I think you're a guy. I'm going to refer to you as your name, or whatever. Like I'll refer to you as your last name if I have to say your name, and I'll say Mr. if I have to say otherwise. Like, do you think that's? I would say that's harassment. As a form of harassment, basically. It's abuse of authority.
But not even using a pronoun. You're saying that's harassment.
No, I don't. I think. I mean, like, I think if you could just only refer to them as like, Brownstein or whatever, right? Like maybe, but like, I think that I don't know. I think that I think the problem here is that like I think just to kind of level with you, because like you're saying why you were saying why you think this. I'll say why I think this. I want to avoid transgender people getting like desperate treatment, being treated differently than the other people, because I think that it's wrong. I think it's discrimination. I think that if I want to be called a boy, I happen to agree with the one that I was born with. Anyone would agree that anyone calling me otherwise would be cringe at best and like harassment at worst, right? I just want to apply that to transgender people.
If you're intentionally using a different pronoun to refer to a transgender person that doesn't want to be referred to as that, I see it as a disrespectful act towards somebody else. Yeah, I don't think you feel like students.
I want to clarify one thing though. So Naz said earlier he draws the line with kids. So the school application I don't think even applies to him, right? Am I getting that right? Because you said
What do you mean?
You said that you draw the line with kids. You said adults can do what they want. Kids not allowed.
Well, there's a difference between transitioning like surgically versus claiming that not claiming. I guess. How should I refer to
presenting what we're
identifying?
Because there's one thing for a kid to be like, I want you to call me her instead of him, and there's another thing for a kid to have been taking hormones and went through some sort of alteration.
I have a question. A lot of these, I mean, like, obviously, I can find you the exact study if you want to. But there are especially I know for a fact the Endocrine Society argues that young kids who identify as trans, if they want to, they should, and if doctors agree, which we all agree, that if they want to, and if doctors agree, that they should be put on hormone blockers. Do you think that is something that's appropriate?
I do not think that's appropriate.
Why not? The medical professionals agree. Why do you disagree with them?
Oh, that goes back to my initial point. Like, what are these medical professionals that are publishing these studies? Like,
sure. So I mean, like, I got a couple more. I got the John Hopkins Center for Transgender Health. There was the NHS, the National Health System in the UK. All of these support. I mean, obviously they have different agreements, but like they widely support transgender healthcare, and many of them support, especially for hormone blockers for young people.
I would just love to point out that Naz had that Freudian slip where he referred to those questions he was asking earlier as the point he made.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me.
I was asking. Like, how's that any different?
The distinction is that obviously asking a question can in and of itself be advancing a point, and that for you to say, oh, why are you getting mad when I'm just asking a question is ridiculous, because questions can inform ideas.
They can. They can also inform them positively.
Yeah. If he was asking, why is it that racism is so bad, I would be like, wow, that's a great point.
Can I make a point about what you were saying, Naz, about how you don't know who these people are? You can just look up like their resume.
Okay. Like scientist's resume or psychologist primarily.
Yeah, everybody has a resume.
Okay.
He's not going to do that. He thinks vaccines are fake and shit. He
doesn't, but
don't even engage.
Watching, right?
That is not what I think. Vaccines are fake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've had long conversations with you about it.
Please explain to me what my position on vaccines are, because that's not it.
Oh, has it changed since like a month ago? Okay, all right. I'm just saying, like, your history of like
what you're trying to say.
Being in your chat with you denying science is like a pretty long one, so I don't think that like it's going to bear much fruit giving you sources.
True, but I just met him tonight, and I'm trying to.
I've never read a transgender study that backs up hormone blockers. If I were to read that, I would be more informed on the topic.
That backs up hormone block? Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Well,
it says give kids hormone blockers.
I know, but I've heard you have this conversation with a trans person like a month ago or 2 months ago. And I watched that whole thing, and I saw how that went. And it was basically you asking the same types of questions and getting responses, and then just mocking the whole situation. So that's why I can't really have a good faith conversation with you
at all right now.
No, but I mean, I can pull up the video. I know what you're doing here. Like I've seen this all before. I don't know.
The point of a hormone blocker is to give the child more time to understand their identity. They're not going to grow into a body they don't want to, and if they decide that that's not where they need to go to, they can stop taking them. And obviously, it's not. I don't know all the details. I believe there are. Obviously, I believe that there are some. There can be some side effects depending how long you take them. But that's the point. My question would be to Naz: you don't think we should take them? What would I have to convince you of to make you believe that we should give them to kids?
That specific topic.
What?
They're already a thing, right? They're not like a. It's not something. That's
they've existed for other stuff.
Right. So it's like, if the parents consent, sure. If the parents say, sure, you can go ahead and do this, they should do it.
I gotta go because listen. Okay, this is one of the problems we run into when you're talking to somebody that kind of gives these kind of like libertarian answers and everything. I'm not trying to like pigeonhole you in a box, which is just like, do you think well, I would not discriminate against a black person, but I don't really know if we should like stop private business from doing it from a private business.
I think that like you're putting a lot of stuff on him, guys. I'm sorry to disagree with you, but like,
there's we can go for anything. We don't have to make it black people. We can do fucking anything, right? Well, I think that like people should not drink soda. I don't drink soda. So I think that if like a parent wants to drink soda,
You can tell your kid not to.
I guess they could. No, dog. Should you give your fucking kid a fucking binky with fucking soda in it? That's the question. And if I was answering that question, it's gonna go in fucking circles forever. I know I'm using using inflammatory examples, but it's the way that he's approaching this. If like he's well,
okay.
I would need. I already don't think this is a good thing, even though I don't necessarily know what the consensus is. I already kind of know this is not good.
Like, I don't think this is correct for children, and if you can convince me otherwise, please do.
Where do you come to that initial claim? Just
my position right now is that there should be parental consent when it comes to any sort of.
Where do you come to the initial claim? What makes you believe the initial claim that's not good for kids?
It's not natural.
What the fuck? I have asthma.
What the fuck
I have
is
asthma.
natural?
Stop. I have asthma. Naturally, my lungs inflame all the fucking time. What the fuck do you mean natural? What are you talking about?
Well, then just die, Kobe. I mean, come on, man. Like,
all right, now I see what's going on. I see it now.
Would you try walking away from the asthma?
No, answer the question. The asthma. The natural. What about the natural?
Nas, go ahead. What's natural about that?
What, asthma?
What's natural about medical intervention?
Yeah, like what's the issue? It's unnatural. That's not a criticism you do for anything else. If we see that an individual's well-being is being subtracted by something, and we can medical professionals agree that medical intervention would alleviate that would increase their well-being, right? We would never say, "Well, it's not natural to do that." So why are you using it?
I'm trying to say that I don't think it should be an option at all, and it should be banned.
Dog, you're doing the same thing. I don't want to drink soda. Well, I would not give my kid. Answer the question, dog. Like,
if you're a parent of a child and you don't believe that sugar is good for them, you should be able to give them sugar.
I'm gonna Minecraft. I'm gonna play Minecraft. I'm gonna break out Mindstone block.
Hold on. If you need an organ replacement, right? Is that natural?
You need an organ replacement? Like a kid needs a new kidney.
Your kidney just fucks up. I mean, we take it and even more. We put a fucking pig heart in you, which is what we do sometimes. We put a fucking nasty ass pig heart in you. Is that natural?
Well, what happened to your heart?
What did
you ate 1,000 cheeseburgers and you're a fat fuck and your heart exploded, and so we gave you a pig heart.
That is not natural, no.
Okay, then who cares? Okay, so you would never use. You never say, "Oh, we shouldn't do it. We should let the guy die because he ate too much food."
Are you saying that the person should die for whatever reason their fucking heart failed, right? And not do that medical procedure because it's not quote unquote natural?
No, I think that eating that much food.
No. Ignore that. No. Sorry. That's why Kobe you shouldn't have given him that. No, ignore that. That doesn't matter. He could have had heart failure for anything, whatever, right? Heart failure now needs a medical procedure.
I don't think heart failure is natural. It's not a natural occurrence. It's something that requires.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. God. Of course it is. Do not understand. Maybe you don't understand like the basic concept of what is natural. If that's the case, well then we've got a lot of work to do here. But like, yeah, it is.
If I have a genetic
concept of what is natural, Prime.
Holy shit!
If I have a genetic,
Brento, don't even fucking do that to me. Brento, don't do that to me. That's bullshit. No, whatever. No, sorry, Brento. I'm not handling you now. I'm handling him.
No problem.
Like the fuck?
If I have a genetic disorder, how could you ever describe anything other than natural? Like if my heart explodes when I turn 18 because I have a gene, that is literally nature.
I have a question too. What if you die of natural causes? What does that mean?
That doesn't mean anything. That's a long. We'll discuss that another time.
No, I'm just asking what that means to him, not to you.
How is he engaging with this question? Like they asked him why he believes the initial claim that we should not give.
No.
I was going to say things. I actually am going to leave because I said that 5 times now.
Yeah.
He had the initial claim that he believed that it was not good to give kids fucking pretty doctors. When we pushed him on this, it was because it's unnatural. But we know he would never fucking use that reason for any other thing ever. And this idea that heart failure. I don't care, Brento. Even if you do, then you're crazy. Okay, that's not how society or medicine has functioned in any society ever. Okay, we do all kinds of things that are not against. They're not fucking like okay, like it's ridiculous. And this is why this is why maybe it's a little bit fun, but this is going to go forever.
Yeah, no, it's bad faith nonsense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like we can find a new thing, right? I mean, like maybe he'll pivot next time to it's his religion and that it's the thing, and then it's ironclad. Yeah. Maybe he'll go and he'll say well, actually, I trust the Chinese National Academy for Athleticism, who said that in 2013 they said that we can. I don't care. Okay, listen, there's obviously a lot more kind of under the mask here that we're talking to. Good night, everybody.
Salutation. Good night.
I'm done too. So, okay, fine. All right, so to the audience, that was dumb as shit. but whatever, right? What the fuck? Anyway, it's not natural, guys. Heart failure. People don't naturally get heart failure. What's that? People don't ever die. That's not natural, guys. Holy shit. Like, dumbest shit fucking arguments. Like, wow. Any which way. Moving on.